The issue of valuation. This is a fairly large sum that Walmart is investing in Flipkart, both to buy out existing shareholders and some fresh capital. $22 billion valuation for a company that does about $4.6 billion in sales, right? But this is only the beginning. I imagine you believe that there's going to be more capital that's put to work, not just by Walmart, but all other players. At the end of the day, is it money that's going to win this?
Yes and no. I think the first challenge that Walmart will have, after having really upped the ante in the market, is that they will have to follow this up with capital in online, but more important, to back it up with offline. That's where their strengths lie, in offline. Online is the game they're themselves learning now for the last couple of years once they bought out jet.com. And therefore that team is new. That team has just started showing results in the US. Plus they've suddenly acquired a company in India. And therefore, the Indian market, they're going to take on Amazon head-on. And Amazon is a tech player, which is doing retailing. So in that sense, I think it's a mix of capital, strategy, and technology. And I think even if Amazon and Walmart both have enough capital, that's not a challenge. I mean, Walmart generates enough free cash flow. Amazon has got great valuations to pay the bills from. So therefore, I think capital is a war that both can fight. The second war is strategy. I think there Walmart will probably have to play more by moving in offline whenever regulations allow it in a sensible manner. And technology is something that Walmart will have to figure out how to cobble together. At its core, it's not a tech company. And therefore, that's one kind of handicap it has globally against Amazon. And therefore, you see these strange partnerships that they're doing, where Google comes in and takes a minority stake along with Walmart. Essentially, that's going to work both for Google and for Walmart. But that's the kind of play that's there. You have to put all these three things together and then fight Amazon.
Okay. A conventional journalistic background will tell you that you look at a deal, you see what EV to EBITDA is or whatever, and that's how you compare how this works. This is really tough to do with any large e-commerce player because none of them actually make any money.
Correct.
Right? So when you look at these numbers, how do you make out whether Walmart's making the right bet? Do you just say, hey, look, India is 1/5 of the world's population, if not more, therefore you cannot not be present in India, so whatever it costs, you have to be here. Don't you worry then about, can Walmart make this work? Are they just putting, good money behind bad? How does one sort of assess all of those things?
Yeah, so let me put it this way. If India becomes a $100 billion market, and if Walmart, Flipkart, either they get a 30% market share or they'll get a 60% market share. Of that size of a market, right? And the fact is that over the last 2 years, all the other players have really gone out of the fray. So you have two players now which control a large chunk of the market.
Walmart, Amazon.
Walmart, Amazon will control a large chunk of the market, anywhere between 60 to 80%, depending on what category they are in. And there is Alibaba with Paytm on one side, and there is ShopClues and Snapdeal. But I'm saying a large chunk of the Indian market is infinitely valuable to a company today. That's the only market left for growth. Walmart grows by 2-3% in the US. It's had a tough time in other international markets. India is going to be a growing market. India is accessible. India, the rule of law works, which is questionable on how it plays out in China. And therefore, in a sense, for a company which is actually struggling with growth in its own market, to not play this game in India. And then valuation flows from that. I don't think the valuation comes from the calculation of your financial metrics.
Got it.
Here's a company that could deliver them a large chunk of the Indian market. The large chunk is sizable. Even today, Flipkart probably has 50 million customers, right? 50 million customers can become 120, 150 million customers. That customer base will definitely deliver the bang for the buck. Now, how much time it takes becomes the question, and how well you play the game can become the question. But is the deal having promise, and therefore does it matter whether you pay a few billion more or less? It's not relevant.
So are you suggesting that we should not wonder whether how much more capital will Walmart have to put to work? At what point will any of this become profitable? I mean, do those things fall by the wayside when you're looking at, maybe being able to occupy such a large piece of the market?
Absolutely.
You think
Absolutely.
So?
I think so, because I think Walmart will position this as their next big growth plan. So they'll have two growth plans. One is to start building online in the US and again try and get partnerships going there with other anti-Amazon players and do the same thing in India. So I think India and US are going to be two big plays for them for growth, because if they go online in the US, that's again they'll have growth. One, they'll put a defensive plan there, but it can also deliver them a lot of growth because there are several other retailers they can take market share from who are struggling.
Okay. To sort of slightly deviate from this, you mentioned offline. That's the piece that they cannot occupy because of the current regulatory structure.
Yeah.
And we don't know when that will change. They've already tried once with Bharti, come in, spent money, written it off, had to leave again, then only stuck to cash and carry. Now they're trying the e-commerce bit. So they'll have cash and carry, they'll have e-commerce. The large middle chunk, which is about 80-90% of this market right now, they have no access to, no way of building out. It's a big bet when you look at the fact that this is out of bounds for them.
It's a big bet, and sometimes when you burn the bridge, you make a bet work. So it's a do or die plan actually, in a sense. And clearly when you go do or die, you usually end up doing. Dying is not an option for most people.
Okay.
So you'll find that Walmart will probably put together a plan, and one is they'll do something with cash and carry right now and try and get that business to do well along with Flipkart. And probably they've talked about that a little. But eventually the market will open up. And again, these are strategic players. They have a 20-year, 25-year, 30-year horizon. This is not a VC trying to say, okay, I need to get out in 5 years.
If that was the case, why did they not stay invested in India, or that Bharti thing fell apart? They only stayed in cash and carry. So I'm saying, they've been through that. So are you saying?
I think the fundamental change that happened is when they bought jet.com. I think Walmart acquired a team that said, who knew this market. I mean, it's very difficult for a company the size of Walmart to actually pivot and become an omni-channel or an online player, right? But when they bought this out, when they bought this company, they got the management team, they signaled internally and externally that they're willing to take the fight to Amazon. And therefore, this is one more big step along that path. They've made several small ones since they bought jet.com, but those were not significant. I think this is a big significant step. And the market signal was very clear. You either acquire a large player in India or you stay out of the market, right?
Yeah.
Now, the fact is that at this moment, Flipkart is ready to give Amazon a fight, right? With capital, with some of the work they've done over the last 2 years. It is not a player it will not happen that Amazon will have 90% of the market, not easily. And therefore, this is the right move as far as where Walmart stands. Now, how it will work itself out comes down to how they execute it.
Okay. Well, no, just one last bit when we talk about capital and therefore the strategy related to how you're spending this money, and that is they really have not had very much success in their international operations. India is also a very distinct set of different local markets, right? So you're betting big, but you don't really have the track record to justify this kind of betting big. So what will it take? Let me put the question the other way around you. What will it take for Walmart to succeed then in India?
As I said, I think one thing is, the Flipkart team has got its act together over the last couple of years. So probably stay as much away from meddling with what they're doing.
So you don't think they'll fly in the jet team?
No,
you don't think they'll fly in the jet.com team?
They will have to, because there is $20 billion at stake. But they'll probably be circumspect because they know that this team has turned around and executed for the last couple of years, after from where they came from. So probably giving them more space, and then bringing to bear, they've got huge sourcing capabilities, which are extremely relevant for a value-seeking market like India. So they've got capabilities. I mean, $500 billion of goods they sell. So their ability to source stuff well, their entire merchandising capability is something they can offer to Flipkart. And then comes down to how big a bet they actually play with offline. Do they make Flipkart the holding company that actually buys an offline player? That could be the big game there. Between, the probably, let's say, 70, 80, 100 million consumers that you could have on Flipkart in a few years' time, and an offline footprint, and a cash and carry business, there is a game to be made in India. It's a tough...
They're taking the long entrepreneurial call on this. Sorry, I'm being the skeptical journalist on all of this.
I guess everybody's skeptical, but my sense is that they would have thought it through. This is the game in town that's... If you look all over the world, this is the deal to do.
Yeah, but if you saw that they flew in the jet.com team and that's the one that's now running Flipkart from here on, then you're going to smell trouble, right?
Okay. So I think they won't. Okay. I mean, if they do, they'll have challenges.
Cool.
I think, sitting and trying to run India from a few thousand miles away, not going to be a easy thing.
Yeah, because India is not even one homogenous local market, right?
It's
like
and everybody's burnt their hands. Look at any multinational that tried to operate India from very far away, and they've had trouble.